Long before steel and glass scraped the sky, civilizations across the ancient Americas were bending stone to their will, crafting structures so strange and sophisticated they still baffle experts today. Picture towering pyramids aligned with celestial events, underground tunnels snaking for miles beneath city streets, and massive stone walls fitted together so precisely you can't slip a sheet of paper between them. These aren't relics of some distant, imaginary world. They're real, they're here, and they whisper secrets about cultures that mastered engineering feats we're only beginning to understand. From the mist-shrouded peaks of the Andes to the dense jungles of Central America, the ancient Americas are a treasure trove of architectural enigmas. Some of these structures were built by civilizations whose names we know, the Maya, the Inca, the Aztec, while others were left behind by cultures so old their stories have vanished into time. What ties them together? A sheer refusal to conform to what we think we know about the past. Take, for example, the massive stone spheres of Costa Rica, perfectly round and scattered across the jungle like marbles dropped by giants. Or the intricate cliff dwellings of the American Southwest, carved into sheer rock faces with a precision that defies their age. These aren't just buildings, they're puzzles waiting for us to piece together their purpose. That's exactly what we're about to do. In this journey, we'll uncover 25 of the most bizarre and mysterious structures across the ancient Americas, each one a testament to human ingenuity and a challenge to our understanding of history. You'll see cities hidden beneath modern metropolises, temples designed to channel the cosmos, and colossal earthworks so vast they can only be fully appreciated from the sky. Some were built for kings, others for gods, and a few, perhaps, for something even more extraordinary. So let's step off the map and into the unknown, where every stone has a story and every ruin holds a riddle. The past is stranger than you think, and it's time to meet it face to face. Buried beneath a lush green hill in central Mexico lies a secret so massive it defies belief. The Great Pyramid of Cholula, the largest pyramid on Earth by volume. While Egypt's pyramids might steal the spotlight, this ancient marvel quietly dwarfs them, stretching nearly twice the size of the Great Pyramid of Giza. But here's the twist: it doesn't look like a pyramid at all. Centuries of erosion and vegetation have transformed it into what seems like a natural hill, crowned by a colonial-era church. The Spanish thought they were building over a simple mound, never realizing they were standing atop a mountain of ancient ambition. Local legends whisper that the pyramid was built by Zelhua, a giant who survived a great flood, stacking bricks with the help of celestial beings. Whether myth or memory, the truth is just as staggering. Constructed layer by layer over centuries, the pyramid grew like a living thing, each new civilization adding to its bulk. The tunnels carved into its heart feel like a journey through time, narrow, winding passages lit by flickering bulbs, revealing intricate murals of gods and rituals untouched for over 1,000 years. Archaeologists have mapped nearly 5 miles of these corridors, yet rumors persist of hidden chambers still waiting to be uncovered. What's most fascinating isn't just its size, but its mystery. Why was such a colossal structure allowed to vanish under earth and legend? Some say it was deliberate, a way to hide sacred spaces from invading forces. Others believe the pyramid's very invisibility is a testament to its power, a monument so grand it became one with the land itself. While tourists flock to Egypt, Cholula's pyramid waits, half buried and half forgotten, as if daring us to unravel its deepest secrets. Far beneath the towering pyramids of Teotihuacán, the so-called City of the Gods, lies a hidden world that's rewriting everything we thought we knew about this ancient metropolis. In 2003, archaeologists made a discovery that sent shockwaves through the scientific community: an elaborate network of tunnels stretching hundreds of feet beneath the Temple of the Feathered Serpent. These aren't just passageways, they're a subterranean masterpiece engineered with precision and filled with artifacts so bizarre they defy explanation. At first glance, the tunnels seem like a mystery straight out of an Indiana Jones film. The walls are coated in powdered pyrite, fool's gold, creating a shimmering, star-like effect when lit by torchlight, as though the builders wanted to recreate the night sky underground. Then there's the liquid mercury, found pooled in chambers deep below the surface. In the ancient world, mercury was rare and incredibly difficult to produce, often reserved for sacred rituals or as a symbol of divinity. Why would such a volatile substance be placed here, beneath one of Mesoamerica's most important temples? Some researchers believe these tunnels were more than just ceremonial. They might have represented the underworld itself, a physical manifestation of the journey souls were believed to take after death. The layout mirrors celestial patterns, with certain chambers aligned to key stars or solstice events. Others speculate they were used for initiation rites, where priests or rulers underwent trials in complete darkness before emerging, reborn, into the sunlight. But here's what truly stumps archaeologists: the sheer scale of the effort. Digging these tunnels by hand with nothing but stone tools and torches would have been a monumental task, decades, if not centuries, of backbreaking labor. And yet, there's no evidence they were ever used for practical purposes like storage or escape routes. Every clue points to something far more profound, something spiritual. Adding to the enigma are the strange artifacts found inside. Jade statues, animal bones, even miniature landscapes carved from stone, as if the tunnels were meant to house an entire symbolic universe. The most chilling discovery, a chamber filled with human remains arranged in a way that suggests ritual sacrifice. Were these offerings to the gods or part of a deeper, darker ceremony lost to time? Teotihuacán's tunnels are a reminder that some of history's greatest secrets aren't hidden in plain sight. They're buried beneath our feet, waiting for the right moment to reveal themselves. And with only a fraction of this underground labyrinth explored so far, who knows what else might be lurking in the darkness? Deep in the steamy jungles of Costa Rica, scattered across the Diquis Delta like forgotten toys of the gods, lie some of the most perplexing artifacts ever discovered in the ancient Americas, the stone spheres of the Diquis. These aren't just ordinary rocks, they're near-perfect spheres, some weighing as much as 16 tons, carved with such precision that modern engineers still debate how they were made. The largest could crush a car beneath its weight, yet their surfaces are so smooth you could roll one across the floor like a marble. How did an ancient civilization, working without metal tools or advanced machinery, achieve this level of geometric perfection? Some researchers point to the meticulous process of pecking and grinding using harder stones to shape softer ones over years of painstaking labor. Others suggest more radical theories, like the use of lost technologies or even lasers, given the sphere's uncanny symmetry. Local legends add another layer of intrigue, claiming the spheres were gifts from the gods or relics of Atlantis, placed there by a vanished supercivilization. But the real shocker, these spheres aren't random decorations. Many were found arranged in precise patterns, lines, triangles, even constellations, hinting at a sophisticated understanding of astronomy. Some align with solstice sunrises, while others mirror the positions of stars sacred to indigenous cosmologies. Were they celestial maps, power objects, or markers for sacred sites? The truth might be stranger than fiction. Adding to the mystery is their dispersal. Originally clustered around ancient settlements, many spheres were later moved, some by Spanish colonists who believed they held gold inside, others by banana plantations bulldozing land in the 20th century. Today, they sit in museums, town squares, and remote jungles, their original contexts lost. The most haunting question remains: why, unlike pyramids or temples, these spheres serve no obvious practical purpose? Yet their creators invested unimaginable effort into making them. Perhaps they were symbols of unity, representations of celestial bodies, or even keys to a forgotten spiritual practice. One thing's certain, in a world obsessed with straight lines and sharp angles, the Dikwis chose perfection in the round, a silent, stone-cold enigma that refuses to be solved. High above the arid plains of southern Peru, where the desert stretches endlessly under a relentless sun, lies one of archaeology's most mesmerizing puzzles, the Nazca lines. These enormous geoglyphs, some stretching longer than a football field, were carved into the earth over 2,000 years ago by removing the dark surface stones to reveal the lighter sand beneath. From ground level, they look like little more than shallow grooves in the dirt, but take to the sky and the scale of their ambition becomes breathtaking. Colossal spiders, hummingbirds with wingspans wide enough to dwarf a house, a monkey with a spiraling tail, each figure is so precise, so perfectly proportioned. It's as if the desert itself was a giant canvas for some ancient artist. For decades, these lines have fueled wild speculation. Were they landing strips for alien spacecraft, as some early theorists claimed? Sacred pathways for ritual processions where priests walked in the footsteps of gods? Or perhaps a massive celestial map, aligning with stars and solstices to guide agricultural cycles? The truth is likely as complex as the people who made them. Recent discoveries have only deepened the mystery. Using artificial intelligence to analyze satellite imagery, researchers uncovered dozens of previously unknown geoglyphs in 2020, some hidden in plain sight for centuries. These new additions include humanoid figures with exaggerated features, almost cartoonish in their design, alongside more abstract shapes, zigzags, spirals, even what looks like a giant pair of hands. What's striking isn't just their number, but their variety. Some lines form clear images, while others are geometric straight lines running for miles, perfectly aligned despite the rugged terrain. One theory suggests these straight paths were used in water rituals, a desperate plea to the gods in one of the driest places on Earth. The Nazca people, after all, thrived here for centuries, engineering intricate aqueducts to survive. Could the lines have been part of that same ingenuity, a way to mark underground water sources or channel spiritual energy? Then there's the how. Without the advantage of flight, how did the Nazca execute designs so vast they can only be appreciated from above? Some researchers point to simple but effective techniques, using ropes and stakes to plot out curves, scaling up smaller sketches by maintaining proportions. Others wonder if the Nazca had hot air balloons or kites, though no evidence has been found. Maybe the answer is simpler still. A culture so attuned to their landscape, so patient in their craftsmanship, that they could envision the whole while standing in the parts. But the biggest question remains, why, unlike temples or tombs, the Nazca lines serve no obvious functional purpose? They weren't meant to house the dead or shelter the living. Instead, they seem designed for something far more elusive: communication, perhaps with the gods themselves. Some glyphs align with the setting sun during key festivals, while others point to distant mountains considered sacred. Could they have been a form of prayer etched permanently into the earth, or a way to unite scattered communities under shared symbols visible only to those who knew where and how to look? The Nazca lines defy easy answers. They're a reminder that ancient people saw the world differently, blending art, science, and spirituality in ways we're still struggling to decode. And with every new line uncovered, the story grows richer, the mystery deeper. One thing's certain, in a desert that rarely changes, these ancient marks endure, silent and stunning, waiting for us to finally understand their message. Standing alone on the windswept Altiplano of Bolivia, the Gate of the Sun is a silent sentinel from a lost world. This massive stone arch, carved from a single block of volcanic rock weighing over 10 tons, towers above the ruins of Tiwanaku, a city so ancient even the Inca considered it a relic of their distant past. At first glance, it looks like an ordinary monument, but peer closer and the mystery unfolds. The gate is covered in intricate carvings, dominated by a central figure whose identity has sparked debates for centuries. With a headdress radiating like sunbeams and tears streaming down his cheeks, the so-called weeping god stares out from the stone, flanked by rows of winged attendants frozen mid-flight. Some call him Viracocha, the creator deity who, according to legend, emerged from Lake Titicaca to bring civilization to the Andes. Others see something more unsettling, a figure clad in what looks like a stiff, form-fitting suit, his hands gripping strange objects resembling tools or weapons. Could this be evidence of ancient contact with otherworldly beings, as some fringe theorists claim? Or is it simply an artistic representation of a god whose true meaning we've lost? The truth might lie in the gate's other carvings, a complex calendar system etched with uncanny precision, marking celestial events with accuracy that rivals modern astronomy. But here's where the real intrigue begins. The Gate of the Sun isn't just a relic, it's a puzzle with missing pieces. Originally, it stood as part of a larger structure, possibly a temple or observatory. Today, it leans precariously as if frozen mid-collapse. Was it toppled by an earthquake or deliberately dismantled to hide its secrets? Even more baffling is its alignment. During the winter solstice, the rising sun strikes the gate at an angle that illuminates the central figure's face, bathing him in golden light for just a few fleeting moments. Was this a deliberate effect meant to awaken the god at a sacred time? Then there's the name itself, the Gate of the Sun. Pass through it and you'll find nothing. No grand plaza, no hidden chamber, just empty space. So why call it a gate? Some researchers believe it was symbolic, a portal between worlds where priests communed with spirits. Others argue it was functional part of a larger mechanism, perhaps even a stargate linking to distant realms. As wild as that sounds, there's a third, darker theory, that the gate commemorates a catastrophic event, its weeping god mourning a devastation so profound it reshaped the world. Tiwanaku's builders left no written records, only stones that whisper in a language we've yet to fully decipher. The Gate of the Sun stands as their most enigmatic message, a monument without a clear purpose, a calendar without its codex, a god who weeps for reasons we can only guess. Until we crack its symbols, it remains a question carved in stone, challenging us to look deeper, to listen harder. Maybe the answer isn't in the gate itself, but in what's missing: the stories, the people, the world that once thrived around it, now as silent as the wind howling through its empty arch. Perched on a hill overlooking the ancient Inca capital of Cusco, the walls of Saksaywaman defy logic. These aren't ordinary stone barriers, they're a masterpiece of megalithic engineering where massive blocks, some weighing over 100 tons, fit together like pieces of an impossible puzzle. The curves and angles lock so perfectly that after centuries of earthquakes, not a single stone has shifted. Run your hand along the seams and you'll feel nothing but smooth transitions. No gaps, no mortar, no room for even a blade of grass to squeeze through. How did the Inca achieve such precision? Local legends speak of a mysterious softening agent, a liquid extracted from plants that could melt stone like butter, allowing builders to mold it into shape. Spanish chroniclers recorded these tales with skepticism, yet the evidence is hard to ignore. Some stones bear surfaces so polished they look melted, with edges that curve and flow as if the rock itself was pliable. Modern experiments with organic acids found in Andean plants have shown they can indeed alter stone surfaces, lending eerie credibility to the myth. But here's where the plot thickens. While the Inca are credited with Saksaywaman, the site's oldest layers, the most finely crafted ones, predate their empire by centuries. The foundational stones are larger, more intricately fitted, and show weathering patterns suggesting immense age. This has led some researchers to propose a radical theory that Saksaywaman was begun by a far older, advanced civilization, one the Inca later inherited and expanded upon. The Inca themselves claimed they merely renovated what the giants had built. The site's purpose is another enigma. Spanish invaders assumed it was a fortress, its zigzagging walls resembling teeth, earning it the nickname Speckled Head in Quechua. Yet its astronomical alignments tell a different story. During the winter solstice, sunlight strikes specific carvings with laser-like precision, illuminating sacred symbols tied to Inca cosmology. Underground tunnels twist beneath the stones, some leading to hidden chambers, others abruptly sealed. Were these passages used for rituals, storage, or something more arcane? Perhaps the most haunting detail is the craftsmanship itself. Without iron tools or the wheel, how were these stones quarried from miles away, hauled up steep slopes, and set with inhuman accuracy? The joints are so tight that on rainy nights, locals whisper, the walls sing, water rushing through hidden channels creates an eerie, melodic hum. Whether fortress, temple, or relic of a lost culture, Saksaywaman stands as a monument to ingenuity that still humbles modern engineers. Its secrets, locked as tightly as its stones, buried in the arid deserts of southern Peru, the Paracas skulls are one of archaeology's most unsettling discoveries, not for what they are, but for what they shouldn't be. Unearthed from tombs dating back at least 2,000 years, these skulls defy natural human anatomy with their dramatic, otherworldly elongation. Unlike the flattened foreheads seen in cultures that practiced cradle boarding, a form of deliberate cranial deformation, the Paracas skulls exhibit features that can't be explained by mere binding. Their volume is up to 25% larger than average, their eye sockets unnaturally wide, and the base of the skulls shows structural anomalies absent in Homo sapiens. When researchers first analyzed the skull's DNA in 2012, the results sent shockwaves through the scientific community. Preliminary tests suggested genetic markers unlike any known human population, sequences so divergent they hinted at a lineage entirely separate from ours. Mainstream archaeologists dismissed these findings as contamination or error, but the mystery only deepened. Subsequent studies revealed mitochondrial DNA mutations absent in any recorded primate, fueling wild speculation. Were these skulls evidence of an unknown human ancestor, a lost branch of our evolutionary tree, or, as some fringe theorists passionately argue, proof of extraterrestrial contact? The controversy doesn't end with biology. The Paracas culture wrapped each skull in elaborate textiles, some dyed with vibrant cochineal red, a color reserved for elites, and buried them with strange artifacts, obsidian mirrors, gold figurines, and bowls containing residues of hallucinogenic plants. This wasn't a practice applied to ordinary citizens. These were individuals set apart, revered or feared. Local oral traditions speak of the Hatam Runakuna, the ancient ones who came from the stars, beings with elongated heads and supernatural knowledge. Could these stories be distorted memories of real encounters? Skeptics counter with a simpler explanation: ritualistic deformation taken to extremes. After all, many cultures altered skull shapes as markers of status or spirituality. But even this theory stumbles when confronted with the sheer biomechanical improbability of the Paracas skulls. Cranial binding can reshape bone, but it doesn't increase cranial capacity or alter fundamental skeletal architecture. These skulls aren't just reshaped, they're redesigned. What's most haunting is the silence surrounding them. Unlike the Nazca lines or Machu Picchu, the Paracas skulls lack grand monuments or written records to contextualize them. They exist in a vacuum, whispering questions without answers. Were they the result of a genetic mutation, a forgotten eugenics experiment, or something far stranger? Until science reconciles their contradictions, they remain a challenge to our understanding of history, not carved in stone but etched in bone. Inside the Temple of the Inscriptions at Palenque, a 9-level pyramid climbing through the Mexican jungle, lies a stone sarcophagus lid that sparked debates fiercer than the midday sun. Carved in exquisite detail, it shows a man reclined as if in mid-motion, his body arched strangely, his hands manipulating what appear to be levers or controls. His face is alive with concentration, his heel pressed against a pedal-like object, and around him swirls a framework of intricate designs, flames, serpentine coils, and something resembling exhaust vents. To some, this is undeniable proof of ancient technology, a Mayan astronaut piloting a spacecraft, his cockpit vibrating with energy. To archaeologists, a visionary shaman mid-ritual straddling the boundary between worlds. The mainstream explanation is rooted in Mayan cosmology. The figure is likely Pakal the Great, Palenque's most revered ruler, depicted at the moment of his death, or more accurately, his transformation. In Mayan belief, death wasn't an end but a passage, a journey through the underworld before rebirth. The spaceship imagery, scholars argue, represents the world tree, the axis connecting Earth, sky, and the underworld. Pakal's pose mirrors depictions of the maize god, who descended into Xibalba, the Mayan underworld, before rising anew. The flames could be celestial serpents, symbols of divine energy, while the controls might be ritual objects used in sacred rites. Even the pedal fits a stylized water lily, emblematic of spiritual transcendence. Yet ancient astronaut theorists aren't convinced. They point to the lid's uncanny resemblance to 20th century spacecraft from the reclined seating position, identical to Apollo mission astronauts, to the apparent propulsion system at the base. Why would a shaman need foot pedals or hand levers? And why does the tree resemble mechanical tubing more than organic growth? Even more provocative are the mathematical correlations. Pakal's tomb lies at a precise point in the pyramid, aligning with celestial events, while the structure's dimensions encode astronomical data with precision rivaling modern instruments. The debate hinges on perspective. To dismiss the astronaut theory outright ignores how often ancient cultures interpreted advanced technology through myth, like the fiery chariots of the Bible or the Vimanas of Hindu texts. But to ignore the shamanic explanation is to strip the Maya of their rich spiritual tradition, reducing their art to literal machinery. Perhaps the truth lies in between. The Maya were master astronomers tracking planets with naked eye precision. Could Pakal's lid be both a spiritual allegory and a coded record of celestial navigation, a merging of myth and science we're only starting to decipher? One detail haunts both camps: the tomb itself. When opened in the 1950s, Pakal's skeleton wore a jade death mask, its eyes made of shell that seemed to follow observers, a chilling effect heightened by the eerie green glow of the stones. Around him lay offerings of cosmic significance: jade beads counted in sacred numbers, pottery painted with star maps, and a miniature mosaic face that may represent his spirit guide. The air smelled of centuries-old incense, hinting at rituals meant to guide him not just through death but toward something far more extraordinary. Whether spaceship or spirit vessel, Pakal's sarcophagus lid refuses to be pinned down. It's a Rorschach test of history, revealing as much about our modern obsessions as it does about the ancient world. Maybe that's the point. The Maya thrived in ambiguity, weaving science and faith into a tapestry where every symbol held layers of meaning. To demand a single interpretation might miss the artistry entirely, because sometimes the greatest mysteries aren't meant to be solved. They're meant to make us wonder. In 1909, the Arizona Gazette published a story that should have rewritten history. A front-page account of two explorers who stumbled upon a vast Egyptian-style cave system deep within the Grand Canyon. According to the article, the caverns were packed with artifacts, golden statues resembling deities from the Nile, hieroglyph-covered tablets, even mummified remains encased in crypts carved with odd, unplaceable symbols. The Smithsonian Institution allegedly funded the expedition, then swiftly sealed the site and swore the team to silence. By the time skeptics demanded proof, the entrance had vanished, either collapsed naturally or buried by human hands. The story reads like pure pulp adventure, but here's where things get sticky. The Grand Canyon does contain caves, thousands of them, many still unexplored. Local indigenous tribes like the Hopi have oral traditions of a subterranean world called Sipapu, a place of emergence where ancestors once lived before climbing to the surface. Even geologists admit the canyon's limestone layers could theoretically house sprawling cavern systems, and then there's the Smithsonian's curious silence. Despite repeated requests, the institution has never confirmed or denied the expedition, fueling conspiracy theories that they're hiding something. Officially, the area described in the article, a remote section near the canyon's north rim, is now a restricted zone. The National Park Service cites safety concerns, pointing to unstable terrain and the perilous climb required to access it. But amateur explorers who have snuck in report eerie details: unnatural-looking stone corridors, walls smoothed as if by tools, and odd markings that don't match known Native American styles. One photo from the 1970s shows a recess in the rock that eerily resembles a stepped pyramid profile, though experts dismiss it as a trick of erosion. Could the story be a hoax? Absolutely. The early 20th century was rife with sensationalist journalism, and no original expedition notes or photographs have ever surfaced. But hoaxes usually fade. This one refuses to die. Modern researchers have uncovered oddities that keep the debate alive. Core samples from the canyon's depths contain trace metals consistent with ancient metallurgy, and satellite scans hint at hollow spaces beneath the plateau, though whether they're natural or artificial remains hotly contested. The most compelling argument for skepticism is also the simplest. If an Egyptian colony thrived in Arizona, where's the rest of their civilization? Cultures leave traces: trash piles, tool fragments, skeletal remains. Yet beyond the Gazette's claims, no hard evidence links the Grand Canyon to dynastic Egypt. Unless, of course, the truth is still down there, locked behind those off-limits signs, waiting for someone brave or reckless enough to dig deeper. Maybe the story's power lies in what it represents. The Grand Canyon is a place of sublime mystery where the Earth's bones lie exposed. It's easy to imagine lost worlds hidden in its shadows just beyond our reach. Whether fact or fiction, the legend endures because it taps into something primal: the hope that even in our hyper-connected age, there are still secrets left to uncover, places where history might yet surprise us. And until someone cracks open those sealed caves, the question lingers: what if this once the tall tale was true? In the quiet outskirts of Homestead, Florida, a peculiar monument stands as a testament to one man's obsession and unexplained genius: the Coral Castle. Built entirely by a single Latvian immigrant named Edward Līdzkalnis between 1923 and 1951, this sprawling complex of massive coral blocks, some weighing over 20 tons, defies every conventional explanation. What makes it baffling isn't just the scale of the work, but the fact that Līdzkalnis, a frail man barely over 5 feet tall and weighing 100 pounds, allegedly constructed it alone under cover of darkness, with no witnesses and no modern machinery. Līdzkalnis' methods remain one of history's most stubborn riddles. When pressed, he'd only cryptically reply that he had discovered the secrets of the pyramids, claiming to understand the laws of magnetism and weight in a way modern science hadn't grasped. Some nights, neighbors reported seeing faint blue lights hovering near the site, sparking rumors of anti-gravity technology or even supernatural aid. Others whispered about a perpetual motion device hidden in his shack, a machine he guarded fiercely. Yet the only tools ever found were rudimentary rusted chains, makeshift tripods, and an odd assortment of metal rods. The structures themselves deepen the enigma: a 9-ton gate perfectly balanced to rotate with the push of a finger, a Polaris telescope carved from stone aligning precisely with the North Star, a towering obelisk, and a heart-shaped table weighing thousands of pounds, all cut and fitted with uncanny precision. Modern engineers have tried replicating his feats with his supposed tools and failed miserably. Even more bizarre, Līdzkalnis once dismantled the entire castle and moved it 10 miles overnight, again alone. When asked how, he simply smirked and said, "It's not difficult if you know how." Theories abound, of course. Some argue he rediscovered ancient levitation techniques, using sound frequencies or magnetic fields to soften stone. Others insist he harnessed earthly energy lines, manipulating unseen forces tied to the site's geology. Skeptics dismiss it as clever pulley work, though none can explain how one man hoisted blocks equivalent to the weight of 3 elephants without heavy equipment. Then there's the romantic angle. Lidskalnin built it all for Agnes, his teenage sweetheart who jilted him the night before their wedding. Was this a monument to lost love or something darker? His writings hint at both, filled with cryptic notes about Sweet 16 and cosmic forces. The coral castle refuses to surrender its secrets. Lidskalnin took his knowledge to the grave, leaving behind only a locked workshop and a tantalizing clue, a pamphlet titled Magnetic Current, where he scribbled, "Every particle in the universe is individual magnet." Was this madness, mysticism, or a misunderstood breakthrough? The stones don't speak, but their silence is deafening. Visitors today still feel it, the eerie sense that something extraordinary happened here, just beyond the edge of what we're willing to believe. Rising from the floodplains of the Mississippi River near modern-day St. Louis, the Cahokia Mounds stand as a ghostly echo of a metropolis that once rivaled London in population. At its peak around the year 1050, this sprawling complex of over 100 earthen pyramids and plazas was the heartbeat of a civilization so advanced, its collapse remains one of North America's greatest mysteries. The crown jewel, Monk's Mound, a colossal 4-tiered pyramid covering 14 acres, the largest prehistoric earthwork in the Americas. Climbing its steep, grassy slopes feels like stepping onto the back of a slumbering giant with the skyline of distant St. Louis, a jarring reminder of how thoroughly history can bury its own footsteps. But Cahokia's true genius lies in its celestial mastery. Just west of Monk's Mound, archaeologists uncovered the remains of a woodhenge, a circle of towering red cedar posts functioning as a solar calendar. During the summer solstice, sunrise aligns perfectly with a marker post, casting long shadows that divide the circle like clock hands. The winter solstice triggers another alignment, while equinoxes split the henge into perfect halves with razor-sharp precision. This wasn't just stargazing, it was a sophisticated timekeeping system guiding planting cycles, ceremonies, and perhaps even political power. Recent laser scans revealed something even more astonishing. The entire city was meticulously oriented to these solar events, with major mounds and plazas forming a cosmological grid mirroring the heavens. Then there's the darkness. In a pit beneath Mound 72, excavators made a grisly discovery: the remains of over 250 people, mostly young women, buried in mass graves. Some show signs of ritual strangulation, others were beheaded. Elite males lay nearby on litters of shell beads surrounded by sacrificed retainers, a chilling display of power echoing ancient Eurasian burial customs. Were these victims of war, slaves, or offerings to gods we no longer understand? The timing offers a clue. The mass graves coincide with Cahokia's rapid expansion, suggesting a desperate attempt to maintain order as population pressures mounted. Theories about Cahokia's fall are just as provocative. By the 1300s, the city was abandoned, its people scattered. Some blame deforestation and erosion from massive construction projects. Others point to a catastrophic flood recorded in tree rings around the year 1200, or a prolonged drought that collapsed the agricultural system. But the most haunting explanation lies in the city's own success. Cahokia thrived as a melting pot, drawing pilgrims and traders from across the continent. That diversity may have sown the seeds of its downfall: overpopulation, resource strain, and social fractures erupting into violence. Today, Cahokia's silence speaks volumes. Walking its empty plazas at dusk, you can almost hear the echoes of a 1,000-year-old ball game. The chant of priests tracking the stars, the gasps of crowds witnessing solstice ceremonies. This wasn't just a settlement, it was a theater of human ambition where earth met sky, and where brilliance and brutality intertwined. The mounds endure not as ruins, but as questions, monuments to a civilization that mastered the cosmos, yet couldn't outlast its own ambition. Cut into the face of a sheer limestone cliff in Arizona's Verde Valley, Montezuma Castle isn't a castle at all, and it certainly wasn't built by Montezuma. This 5-story, 20-room high-rise, clinging to the rock like a wasp's nest, is one of North America's best-preserved cliff dwellings, crafted by the Sinagua people over 600 years ago. But what makes it truly eerie isn't just its precarious perch, it's the mystery of why everyone who lived there suddenly walked away, leaving behind tools, pottery, even food still stored in the walls. The Sinagua, Spanish for without water, were anything but helpless. In this arid landscape, they engineered intricate irrigation canals to farm the desert, traded turquoise and salt as far south as Mesoamerica, and built their homes with an almost criminal audacity. Scaling the cliff today requires modern scaffolding, yet they hold thousands of pounds of limestone and mortar up natural footholds, fitting rooms into the cavern with such precision that the structure still stands untouched by time. The ceilings are blackened by centuries of hearth smoke, the doorways narrow, not for defense as once thought, but to conserve heat. Step inside, and you can almost hear the laughter of children scrambling between levels on ladders long gone to dust. Then, around the year 1420, silence. The Sinagua vanished, leaving no record of war, famine, or mass graves. One theory points to a prolonged drought that drained their canals. Another suggests religious upheaval, evidenced by ritual objects deliberately smashed before departure. But local tribes, the Hopi, Yavapai, and Apache, whisper of something darker. They call the site the place where the dead walk, warning that disturbing it invites calamity. Early 20th century tourists ignored this, pocketing artifacts as souvenirs, only to mail them back years later with letters describing nightmares, illness, and inexplicable bad luck. The most chilling detail, Montezuma Castle wasn't alone. Dozens of nearby settlements were abandoned simultaneously, their doorways deliberately sealed from the inside, as if the inhabitants meant to return. Perhaps they're still waiting, their voices carried on the dry wind that whistles through empty rooms, a haunting reminder that some doors once closed were never meant to be reopened. Deep in the uncharted Amazon, where the green hell of the rainforest swallows explorers whole, lies a legend that has lured adventurers to their doom for centuries, the lost city of Z. British Colonel Percy Fawcett became obsessed with finding it, a glittering metropolis rumored to hide ivory towers and streets paved with silver beneath the jungle canopy. In 1925, he vanished without a trace, leaving behind only a cryptic final letter and a mystery that would ignite generations of treasure hunters. But here's the twist: Fawcett might not have been chasing a myth after all. For years, archaeologists dismissed his claims as colonial fantasy, the ramblings of a man driven mad by malaria and isolation. Then came LIDAR, light detection and ranging technology, peeling back the rainforest's leafy veil to reveal something astonishing. Vast geometric earthworks, sprawling road networks, and even pyramid-like mounds dot the Amazon basin, evidence of sprawling urban centers that once thrived where only wilderness exists today. These weren't primitive villages, but sophisticated settlements supporting thousands, complete with plaza complexes, irrigation systems, and defensive ditches spanning miles. One site, Cuhacugu, matches Fawcett's descriptions eerily well, a city built around a central ceremonial plaza, linked to satellite communities by straight, engineered causeways. Could this have been Z, or at least the echo that inspired the legend? Fawcett's theory wasn't entirely off base. He believed the Amazon had once hosted an advanced civilization decimated by European diseases, a theory now backed by science. Pre-Columbian populations likely numbered in the millions before epidemics wiped out 90% of indigenous peoples, leaving the jungle to reclaim their cities in a matter of decades. The lidar evidence supports this. Charcoal layers in the soil suggest large-scale burning, not for slash-and-burn agriculture but to manage urban spaces. These were forest gardeners sculpting the landscape with fire to create fertile, black earth for crops, a technique still used by indigenous tribes today. Yet the lost city of Z remains elusive. Fawcett's final coordinates point to the Serra do Roncador, a rugged region riddled with caves and said to be guarded by hostile tribes. Some claim he found his city but chose to stay, assimilating into a hidden society. Others insist he fell victim to the jungle's countless dangers, jaguars, anacondas, or perhaps something less natural. Indigenous elders speak of the Red City, a place so sacred its location is protected by spirits where the stones sing at dusk. Modern expeditions armed with drones and satellite imagery have found tantalizing clues: stone markers, pottery shards in remote riverbeds, but no smoking gun. The real revelation here isn't just about Fawcett, it's about rewriting history. The Amazon wasn't an untouched wilderness but a cradle of civilization. Its cities built not of stone but of earth and wood, materials that melted back into the forest when their builders vanished. Lidar keeps uncovering more, each scan revealing grids of roads, reservoirs, and enclaves that suggest a network of interconnected city-states. Fawcett's obsession may have been doomed, but his hunch was prophetic. The jungle keeps its secrets well, and we've only just begun to listen. Hidden in the mist-wrapped peaks of Colombia's Sierra Nevada, where the jungle clings so thick it blots out the sun, lies a secret older than Machu Picchu, Ciudad Perdida, the lost city of the Tairona. Rediscovered in the 1970s by treasure hunters chasing rumors of gold, this terraced metropolis wasn't just stumbled upon, it was practically swallowed by the forest. Vines snake through its stone pathways, and moss blankets the staircases like a living shroud, as if nature itself is trying to keep this place hidden. Built around the year 800, this was no crude settlement. The Tairona sculpted the mountainside into a cascading masterpiece of over 150 circular terraces, each one a feat of engineering so precise that modern architects still study its techniques. What sets Ciudad Perdida apart isn't just its age, but its ingenuity. While European cities of the same era were drowning in their own waste, the Tairona had perfected a drainage system that would put modern urban planners to shame. Channels carved into the stone still funnel rainwater away from plazas and homes, preventing erosion even after centuries of torrential downpours. The entire city is a hydrological marvel designed to work with the mountain, not against it. But the real genius lies in the details, the way staircases double as aqueducts during storms, or how certain terraces align with natural springs, creating a self-sustaining water network. This wasn't just survival, it was symbiosis, a dialogue between civilization and landscape. Yet for all its technical brilliance, Ciudad Perdida's deepest mysteries are spiritual. The local Kogi people, descendants of the Tairona, speak of the site as a living entity protected by jaguar spirits and ancestral guardians. They warn that disturbing the ruins invites misfortune, a belief that's hard to dismiss as mere superstition. The treasure hunters who first looted the site in the 70s met gruesome fates, vanishing in the jungle, succumbing to unexplained illnesses, or meeting violent ends. Even modern archaeologists report eerie occurrences, tools disappearing overnight, whispers in a language no one recognizes, and an overwhelming sense of being watched. The Kogi say the spirits are restless, angered by the intrusion into a place meant to remain sacred. The most haunting question isn't how the Tairona built this city, but why they left. Unlike Cahokia or the Maya, there's no evidence of war or famine. Instead, the abandonment feels deliberate, almost ritualistic. Artifacts were left in place, doorways sealed with care. The Kogi believe their ancestors retreated higher into the mountains, leaving the city as a warning. a testament to the consequences of losing harmony with the earth. Today, reaching Ciudad Perdida requires a grueling 5-day trek through guerrilla territory and snake-infested rivers, a journey so punishing it feels like a trial. Perhaps that's the point. Some secrets aren't meant to be uncovered lightly, and some ruins, no matter how magnificent, are best understood not with shovels and scanners but with humility. The stones here don't just tell a story, they guard it. In the rolling highlands of western Mexico, where the blue haze of the Sierra Madre Mountains melts into the horizon, stands one of the ancient world's most peculiar architectural wonders, the Guachimontones. These aren't your typical pyramids with sharp angles and staircases to the heavens. Instead, they rise in perfect concentric circles like gigantic stone wedding cakes dropped into the earth. Built by the little-known Tenochtitlan culture over 2,000 years ago, these circular step pyramids defy everything we expect from Mesoamerican architecture. Each tier is a ring of platforms narrowing as they climb, crowned by a solitary pole at the center, a design so unique it looks like it was plucked from a dream. Theories about their purpose are as layered as the pyramids themselves. At first glance, they seem ceremonial altars for rituals lost to time, but dig deeper and the clues get stranger. Surrounding each pyramid are sunken ball courts where players once battled not just for sport but for something far more sacred. The Mesoamerican ball game was no mere pastime. It was a cosmic drama, reenacting the struggle between light and darkness, life and death. Some scholars believe the circular pyramids served as stages for these spectacles, their concentric tiers symbolizing the tiers of the universe, the central pole. Possibly a axis mundi, a literal connection between Earth and the heavens where priests channeled divine energy during ceremonies. Then there's the Venus connection. The Tenochtitlan people were obsessive sky watchers, and the Guachimontones layout mirrors the planet's intricate dance across the heavens. During key phases of Venus's cycle, the pyramids cast shadows that align with nearby mountains and plazas with eerie precision. One particular pyramid's staircases are positioned so that on the summer solstice, the rising sun paints a beam of light directly up the steps, splitting the structure into halves of light and shadow. Was this a celestial calendar, a temple to the morning star, or both? The answer might lie in the artifacts found buried beneath the plaza. Obsidian mirrors, likely used to reflect celestial events, and figurines of deities with star-shaped eyes, their gazes fixed eternally skyward. What's most haunting about the Guachimontones isn't just their mystery, but their abrupt abandonment. By the year 500, the Tenochtitlan culture vanished, leaving their circular marvels to the weeds. No war, no catastrophe, just silence. Local legends suggest the people simply walked into the sky, leaving behind empty rings of stone as portals to another world. Today, the pyramids hum with an otherworldly energy, especially at dusk when the sinking sun sets the central poles ablaze with golden light. Some visitors swear they've heard whispers on the wind chants, drums, the ghostly cheers of long-dead spectators. Whether ritual ground or cosmic observatory, one thing's certain: the Guachimontones weren't built for mortals alone. They were a bridge to the stars, and if you stand quietly at their center, you can almost feel the pull of something far beyond our understanding. Beneath the crashing waves off Japan's Yonaguni Island lies a massive, angular formation that sparked one of archaeology's fiercest modern debates. Is this the handiwork of nature or a drowned city from a forgotten age? Discovered in the 1980s by a diver searching for hammerhead sharks, the Yonaguni monument stretches nearly 500 feet long, its terraced walls and sharp right angles looking eerily man-made. Giant steps ascend like a stadium staircase, while flat platforms and what appear to be carved pillars lie scattered across the ocean floor. At its peak sits a structure resembling an altar, complete with a circular depression that some claim held ceremonial offerings. The sheer geometry screams intentional design, yet mainstream geology insists it's just a spectacular quirk of sandstone weathering. the controversy hinges on two irreconcilable perspectives. Marine geologists point to the region's frequent tectonic activity, arguing that seismic shifts fractured the rock into these uncannily precise formations naturally. They cite similar sandstone formations worldwide, like Australia's wave rock, where erosion creates illusionary architecture, but dissenting researchers, including Boston University professor Robert Skock, famous for redating the Sphinx, counter with anomalies no wave or quake could explain. Among the monument's sheer cliffs, they've identified what look like tool marks, drainage channels cut at perfect 90-degree angles, and even a carved humanoid face peering from the stone. Most compelling, a nearby turtle-shaped rock, its shell etched with patterns mirroring designs found in ancient Okinawan tombs. Then there's the Pacific connection. Though located in Japanese waters, some theorists argue Yonaguni's design shares startling traits with pre-Columbian American sites. The terraced layers recall Mesoamerican pyramids, while the monument's alignment matches solstice sunrises, a hallmark of Inca and Maya engineering. This has fueled speculation about the mythical continent of Mu, a Pacific counterpart to Atlantis said to have bridged Asia and the Americas. Ancient texts from Japan's Ryukyu kingdom speak of a sunken land called Nurai Kanai, home to gods who gifted civilization before vanishing beneath the waves. Could Yonaguni be Mu's last remnant, or proof of trans-Pacific contact millennia before European explorers? Diving deeper into the debate only thickens the mystery. In 2007, a team using submersibles discovered what looks like a paved road nearby, its flat stones fitted together like cobblestones. Sonar scans hint at even larger structures hidden under centuries of silt, while current patterns suggest the site may have been above water as recently as 3,000 years ago, placing it within the timeline of known advanced cultures. Yet without definitive artifacts, pottery, tools, or inscriptions, the scientific community remains split. Perhaps the most haunting detail isn't underwater at all. On Yonaguni's cliffs, elders recount legends of a great flood that swallowed their ancestors' homes, stories echoed in coastal tribes from Peru to Polynesia. Whether the monument is a geological marvel or a drowned relic, its power lies in what it represents: the tantalizing possibility that history's greatest chapters might be buried not in deserts or jungles, but beneath the sea, waiting for the tides to reveal them. Perched high in the sandstone alcoves of the American Southwest, the cliff palaces of Mesa Verde stand as ghostly reminders of a civilization that vanished overnight. Built by the ancestral Pueblones, often called the Anasazi, these multi-story dwellings cling to sheer cliffs like swallows' nests, their honeycombed rooms and circular kivas silent witnesses to a mystery that still haunts archaeologists. At its height around the year 1200, Mesa Verde was a bustling community, home to thousands who farmed the mesas above and sheltered in the cliffs below. Then, within a single generation, they were gone, abandoning pots still filled with food, sandals left by doorways, even ceremonial objects carefully placed in niches, as if awaiting a return that never came. Theories about their disappearance are as varied as the canyonlands themselves. Some point to a decades-long mega-drought that gripped the region in the late 13th century, evidenced by tree rings so narrow they look like pencil marks. With crops withering and springs running dry, survival in this arid landscape would have been untenable. Others cite signs of violence: burned buildings, skeletons with trauma marks, and defensive structures suggesting raids by neighboring tribes. But the most unsettling clues come from the ruins themselves. At certain sites, doorways were deliberately walled up from the inside, a practice that feels less like evacuation and more like quarantine. What were they trying to keep out or in? Adding to the enigma are the persistent reports of unexplained phenomena. Park rangers and visitors alike have recounted hearing disembodied laughter echoing through empty rooms, especially at dusk. Some describe the sound as joyous, like children playing. Others insist it carries an edge of hysteria. modern Puebloan elders warn that these are the Cachina's ancestral spirits who linger where the living no longer belong. Others speculate the acoustics of the canyon amplify distant sounds in eerie ways, turning wind or animal calls into phantom mirth. Yet even skeptics admit the timing is uncanny. The laughter often coincides with solstices or lunar events sacred to the ancestral Puebloans. The truth may lie in the architecture itself. Mesa Verde wasn't just a settlement, it was a celestial observatory. Windows and doorways align with solar and lunar cycles, casting beams of light onto petroglyphs during equinoxes. The largest Cliff Palace, contains 150 rooms but only one easily defensible entrance, suggesting a people deeply concerned with protection. Then there's Sun Temple, a D-shaped structure with no roof or door, a space that seems built solely to channel sound. Chants or drumbeats inside would have reverberated across the canyon, a phenomenon that might explain the ghostly laughter as acoustic memory lingering in the stone. What's certain is that the ancestral Puebloans didn't vanish, they migrated. Descendants like the Hopi and Zuni trace their lineage directly to these cliff dwellers, carrying oral traditions of a time when the land turned against them. Some stories speak of a great imbalance, a rupture between people and nature that demanded departure. Others whisper of a darker exodus, a flight not from drought or war, but from something far older stirring in the earth. Today, as visitors climb ladders to peer into empty granaries or run fingers over soot-blackened ceilings, the question lingers: did the Anasazi leave because the land could no longer sustain them, or because the land itself asked them to go? The cliffs keep their secrets, but the wind through the canyon still hums with echoes, a laughter that's neither fully human nor entirely of this world. Standing guard atop the ancient ruins of Cholula in central Mexico, the Toltec Atlantean figures tower over visitors like stone sentinels from another age. These massive basalt sculptures, each standing 15 feet tall and weighing several tons, depict armored warriors frozen in time, their blank stares gazing toward some unseen horizon. But what's truly baffling isn't their size. It's the strange headgear resembling modern space helmets, complete with intricate ear flaps and what looks like breathing apparatus carved into the stone. Local lore claims these figures once held up the roof of a grand temple, their superhuman strength literally preventing the sky from collapsing. Archaeologists have long debated their true purpose. Some believe they represent Toltec warriors, their elaborate armor and weaponry symbolizing military might. Others see something more divine, avatars of Quetzalcoatl, the feathered serpent god, depicted in his warrior aspect. But the space helmet detail has fueled wilder theories. In the 1960s, Swiss author Erich von Däniken famously argued these carvings proved ancient astronaut contact, suggesting the headgear depicted breathing devices for extraterrestrial visitors. More grounded scholars counter that the helmets resemble ceremonial regalia worn during ritual ball games, where heavy protection was needed against flying rubber balls. The Atlantis connection comes from an unexpected source, the figure's original name. Early Spanish chroniclers recorded indigenous accounts calling them Atlants, linking them to a mythical island homeland. Intriguingly, the base of each statue shows relief carvings of plumed serpents emerging from what could be interpreted as waves, an artistic motif some interpret as a nod to a lost maritime civilization. This interpretation grows thornier when you examine their construction. The basalt was quarried over 50 miles away and transported without wheels or draft animals, a logistical feat that seems to defy the technological capabilities of 10th century Mesoamerica. Perhaps most puzzling is their current state. When excavated in the 1940s, the figures lay toppled and broken, as if felled by some cataclysmic event. Local oral traditions speak of a great battle between gods that shook the earth, causing the temple roof to collapse. Modern researchers found evidence the site was abandoned suddenly around 1150, coinciding with a major drought that devastated central Mexico. Were the Atlants left as silent witnesses to this collapse, or were they deliberately destroyed to sever a connection to some forgotten power? Today, 4 of the original figures have been re-erected, their chiseled features watching over Cholula once more. The spaces between their fingers still bear traces of pigment, hinting at how brightly they were once painted. As the wind whistles through their hollow eye sockets, you can almost hear whispers of the debates they've inspired. Are they warriors, gods, or something even older? The truth might lie in their most overlooked feature, the small, almost hidden carvings of butterflies on their chests. In Mesoamerican cosmology, butterflies symbolize fallen warriors and the soul's journey, a reminder that some mysteries aren't meant to be solved, only witnessed. Stretching across 20 square kilometers of Peru's arid coastline, the ruins of Chan Chan rise like a mirage, a sprawling metropolis built entirely from mud. This wasn't just any city, it was the capital of the Chimu Empire, a civilization that thrived 500 years before the Inca, mastering the art of survival in one of the driest deserts on Earth. What's astonishing isn't just its scale, the largest adobe city ever constructed, but the fact that these sun-baked walls have withstood earthquakes for centuries while modern concrete buildings crumble around them. The secret lies in the Chimu's genius blend of humility and innovation. Instead of fighting nature, they listened to it. Their bricks were mixed with crushed seashells, a flexible binder that allows the walls to sway during tremors rather than crack. The entire city is a labyrinth of shock-absorbing design, with trapezoidal doorways and sloping walls distributing seismic forces like a sand dune weathering a storm. But Chan Chan's true magic reveals itself when the wind picks up. On certain evenings, as coastal breezes funnel through its maze of corridors, the city begins to sing. The walls, etched with intricate geometric patterns, act like giant flutes, producing an eerie, melodic whistling that echoes across the ruins. Archaeologists believe this was no accident. The Chimu designed these sonic effects deliberately, transforming their city into a colossal musical instrument. Some reliefs depict ocean waves and fish, suggesting the sounds mimic the sea, a sacred force for a culture dependent on fishing. Others theorize the whistles served as a warning system, with specific tones signaling approaching storms or invaders. The most haunting possibility that these sounds were part of rituals, a way to summon spirits or commune with the gods of wind and water. The city's layout deepens the mystery. Chan Chan isn't one unified space but 10 walled citadels, each a mini palace for successive rulers. Inside, you'll find reservoirs lined with tar to prevent leaks, storage rooms still stacked with ancient fishing nets, and throne rooms adorned with friezes of mythical sea creatures. The Chimu worship the moon, not the sun, and their art reflects this. Silver-plated walls, long since looted, would have shimmered like moonlight on water. But the most poignant detail is the city's sudden silence. In the late 15th century, the Inca invaded, diverting Chan Chan's lifeblood, its intricate irrigation canals, to starve the Chimu into submission. The conquerors left the walls standing but stripped the city of its soul, melting its gold and silencing its songs. Today, Chan Chan faces a new threat: climate change. Increasing rainfall, once rare here, now erodes the fragile adobe. Conservationists battle to preserve the site, even as the wind continues its ancient concert. Standing in the ruins at dusk, as the whistles rise and fall like ghostly voices, you realize this wasn't just a city of mud. It was a symphony in sand, a testament to a people who didn't just build for the present, they engineered resilience into the very bones of their world. And if you listen closely, the walls still have stories to tell. Tucked away in the Peruvian highlands near a Bankay, the Saksaywaman monolith is a boulder that shouldn't exist, at least not as it does. Carved from a single block of granite, its surface is a chaotic masterpiece of swirling channels, miniature terraces, and mysterious figures that defy simple explanation. At first glance, it looks like a child's fantasy of a landscape, with tiny llamas, frogs, and snakes scrambling over what might be buildings or altars. But lean closer and the chaos reveals a chilling precision. Every groove, every curve is deliberate, a puzzle carved in stone by hands that understood something we've yet to decipher. Theories about its purpose range from the practical to the mystical. Some archaeologists argue it was a scale model of the Inca irrigation system, a teaching tool for engineers. The intricate network of channels and depressions certainly mirrors the aqueducts and farmland terraces the Inca were famous for. Pour water onto the stone, and it flows exactly as it would through a real agricultural network, diverting around hills, pooling in reservoirs, even cascading down waterfalls with eerie accuracy. But others see something darker. The monolith sits atop a sacred hill called Concocha, a place associated with rain rituals and offerings. Certain carvings, a puma mid-leap, a serpent coiled around a recess, suggest it might have been a blood altar, where liquid sacrifices flowed through those very channels to appease thirsty gods. Then there's the map theory. A handful of researchers insist the carvings aren't abstract designs but a literal topographical map of a lost city. The buildings match known Inca architectural styles, while the roads align with ancient pathways still visible in satellite imagery. One controversial study even claims to have identified a match, a ruined settlement deep in the Vilcabamba Range, its layout eerily mirrored on the monolith. If true, it would mean the Saksaywaman stone isn't just art. It's a relic of a forgotten urban plan, a guide to a place even the Inca considered ancient. But the real mystery lies in the craftsmanship. Granite is one of the hardest stones on Earth, yet the carvings are so precise, so fluid, they look molded rather than chiseled. Local legends speak of a sun blast that softened the rock long ago, allowing artisans to shape it like clay. Modern geologists scoff, but they can't explain how Inca tools, bronze chisels and stone hammers, achieved such detail without metal harder than the rock itself. Even stranger, the monolith was never finished. Half-carved figures loom from the surface, their forms abruptly abandoned, as if the artisans fled mid-stroke. Was it a sacred object, an engineering diagram, or a snapshot of a mythic city? The Saksaywaman monolith refuses to choose. Like so many ancient puzzles, it wears its contradictions proudly, daring us to see not just the carvings, but the world they represent, a world where maps were prayers, where water obeyed stone, and where the line between tool and talisman blurred into oblivion. Today, the stone sits exposed to the elements, its channels worn smooth by rain and time. Yet when the light hits just right, those half-finished figures seem to stir, whispering of a secret that died with their makers. Some answers, it seems, are meant to stay buried not in earth but in plain sight. High in Peru's sacred valley, where the Urubamba River carves through jagged peaks, the megaliths of Ollantaytambo cling to the mountainside like the bones of some ancient giant. This so-called Inca fortress is a paradox, a masterpiece of engineering draped in mystery. The most staggering feature, a series of massive pink granite blocks, each weighing over 50 tons, fitted together with seams so tight a razor blade can't slip between them. But here's what stumps researchers. These stones weren't just quarried nearby. They were hauled from a mountainside 6 miles away, across a roaring river and up a near vertical canyon. The logistics defy belief. Without wheels, without draft animals stronger than llamas, how did the Inca, or whoever built this, move these monoliths as if they were made of foam? The conventional explanation involves ramps, ropes, and sheer manpower. Spanish chroniclers wrote of the Inca using thousands of workers to drag stones with fiber cables, lubricating the path with mud to reduce friction. Yet, even if true, Ollantaytambo's megaliths present problems. Some blocks show precise angles and protrusions that look less like construction aids and more like handles, as if designed for a method of lifting we've yet to comprehend. Local Quechua elders speak of huacas, sacred spirits who could soften stone, allowing it to be shaped like clay before hardening again. Modern geologists dismiss this as myth, but intriguingly, the stones at Ollantaytambo bear surfaces so smooth they appear polished by some unknown tool. Then there's the unfinished wall. Half-carved blocks lie scattered around the site, some still attached to the bedrock, as if work abruptly stopped mid-swing. One theory points to the Spanish conquest. The Inca may have abandoned the project when invaders neared, but the condition of the stones suggests something stranger. The chisel marks don't taper off in panic. They're frozen in methodical progress, as if the builders simply walked away on an ordinary day. Some researchers propose a seismic event, a quake so violent it scared the workers into halting. Others wonder if the wall was never meant to be finished, that the act of construction itself was the ritual, and the incomplete state was intentional. The site's astronomical alignments deepen the intrigue. During the winter solstice, sunlight strikes the temple of the sun's central stone with theatrical precision, illuminating carvings thought to represent constellations. The terraces aren't just agricultural, they're giant mirrors reflecting sunlight onto the megaliths, creating a play of light and shadow that transforms at different times of day. Was this a fortress, a temple, or something in between? The stones refuse to say. What lingers most isn't just the how, but the why. Ollantaytambo's megaliths dwarf practical needs. No invading force required walls this immense. Perhaps the answer lies in the landscape itself. The valley hums with energy, its fault lines pulsing with quartz deposits that vibrate under pressure. Stand near the unfinished wall at dawn when the light hits just right, and you'll swear the stones are whispering. Not in words, but in weight, a reminder that some mysteries aren't meant to be solved, only shouldered. Carved from volcanic basalt and scattered across the swampy lowlands of Mexico's Gulf Coast, the Tres Zapote's colossal heads aren't just sculptures, they're riddles in stone. Towering up to 10 feet tall and weighing as much as 50 tons, these massive portraits gaze out from the jungle with features that have ignited debates for decades. Broad noses, full lips, and cheekbones so distinctly African that early archaeologists assumed they couldn't possibly be indigenous. But these heads weren't carved by outsiders. They're the work of the Olmec, Mesoamerica's so-called mother culture, a civilization that flourished over 3,000 years ago, long before the Maya or Aztec. The mystery begins with the stone itself. Each head was quarried from the Tuxtla Mountains, over 50 miles from where they now stand. Without wheels, metal tools, or domesticated animals stronger than dogs, the Olmec somehow transported these monoliths through dense rainforest and across rivers, an engineering feat that would challenge modern teams. But it's the faces that haunt scholars. The pronounced African features have fueled the controversial transoceanic contact theory, suggesting pre-Columbian voyages between Africa and the Americas. Proponents point to ancient Egyptian depictions of seafaring expeditions and trace elements in New World tobacco found in Old World mummies. Skeptics counter that the heads likely portray local rulers, their features exaggerated for artistic or ritual purposes. Genetic studies of Olmec remains show no African lineage, yet the resemblance is uncanny enough to keep the debate alive. Then there's the rubber. Buried near the heads, archaeologists uncovered hundreds of solid rubber balls, some as large as basketballs, the earliest evidence of rubber processing in the world. The Olmec didn't just use rubber, they perfected it, mixing latex with morning glory juice to create bouncy, durable spheres used in ceremonial ball games. These weren't sporting events but sacred dramas where the ball's movement symbolized the sun's journey across the sky, and losing players sometimes paid with their lives. The connection between the heads and the balls might seem tenuous until you examine the carvings on nearby altars. Some colossal heads wear padded helmets identical to those worn by ball players. Were these portraits of deified athletes, warrior kings, or something else entirely? The most tantalizing clue lies in their arrangement. Unlike later Mesoamerican monuments aligned to solstices, the Tres Zapote's heads face no cardinal directions. Instead, they seem placed almost randomly, yet each one's gaze intersects with natural landmarks, a distant volcano, a bend in the river, a cave mouth. Local Mix elders whisper that the heads are guardians, their sightlines marking portals to the underworld. Modern LiDAR scans reveal something eerie. Beneath the heads, the ground is honeycombed with tunnels, some leading to water-filled chambers containing jade offerings. Were these conduits for spirits or physical pathways for rituals we can barely imagine? What's certain is that the Olmec left no written records, only these stoic sentinels, their expressions frozen between defiance and sorrow. The last head was buried deliberately, its face down, as if to sever its connection to the living. Whether kings, gods, or travelers from afar, their message is carved not just in stone, but in the silence that follows every theory. Some enigmas refuse to be solved, content to loom at the edge of understanding, daring us to look deeper. Deep in the Ecuadorian jungle, tucked away in a hidden chamber near the town of La Mana, lies a collection of artifacts so perplexing they've been called the ultimate archaeological anomaly. At the heart of this cache are the La Mana stones, smooth, polished blocks of white andesite carved with intricate symbols, maps, and what appears to be an eerily accurate depiction of continents not officially discovered until centuries later. But the real showstopper is the pyramid stone, a 13-tiered miniature monument topped with a luminous, inlaid eye that glows under ultraviolet light. The moment researchers first shined a black light on these artifacts, the room erupted in disbelief. The carved lines on the stones lit up like neon, revealing hidden circuits of luminescence that defy conventional explanation. The pyramid's eye, in particular, emits an otherworldly glow, as if charged with some ancient energy source. Even more baffling, the material responsible for the fluorescence isn't naturally occurring in andesite. Whoever crafted these stones knew how to manipulate minerals in ways that shouldn't have been possible for a civilization believed to be thousands of years old. Then there's the so-called world map stone. Etched into its surface is a rendering of landmasses that uncannily resemble modern continents, including Antarctica, but without its ice cap. This detail is particularly provocative because mainstream science claims Antarctica's coastline wasn't fully mapped until the 1950s using satellite technology. Yet here it is, carved in stone with glacial river valleys and bays that would have been visible only if the continent were ice-free, a condition last seen over 12,000 years ago. Even more puzzling, the stone includes a dotted line running from Turkey to the Americas, a route some theorists argue mirrors ley lines or ancient energy pathways described in esoteric traditions. Theories about the La Mana stones range from the scholarly to the sensational. Some researchers propose they're artifacts of the Valdivia culture, an early Ecuadorian civilization known for its advanced pottery. But the precision and technical knowledge displayed, like the UV reactive properties, don't align with Valdivia's known capabilities. Others suggest a connection to the legendary Library of Atlantis, a repository of lost global knowledge said to have been scattered before the cataclysm that sank the continent. The stone's symbols add fuel to this fire. One features a looping, serpent-like design nearly identical to the DNA double helix, while another bears a star constellation matching the Pleiades as it would have appeared millennia ago. Perhaps the most haunting question isn't who made them, but why. The pyramid stone's glowing eye has drawn comparisons to the all-seeing eye of modern occult symbolism, hinting at a possible esoteric function. Independent tests have shown the stones emit weak electromagnetic frequencies, leading to speculation they were components in a larger energy-harnessing device. Local shamans speak of the stones as receivers, tools for channeling Earth's energy or communicating with celestial forces. Whether fact or folklore, one thing's certain: these aren't mere carvings. They're a message in stone and light, waiting for the right moment or the right mind to decode them. For now, the La Mana stones remain tucked away in a private collection, their secrets guarded as fiercely as the jungle that once hid them. But their very existence challenges the timeline of human ingenuity, whispering of a time when art, science, and magic might have been one and the same. Whether relics of a forgotten supercivilization or proof of knowledge lost to time, they glow in the dark like a beacon, not just to be seen but to be understood. Near the shores of Lake Titicaca, where the thin Andean air hums with ancient secrets, the ruins of Pumapunku sprawl across the Bolivian highlands like a giant's discarded puzzle. Among the scattered wreckage of this enigmatic site, one feature stands out: the strange, geometrically perfect blocks known as the H-blocks. Carved from andesite, a stone so hard it ranks just below diamond on the Mohs scale, these blocks look like they were sliced by a laser rather than chiseled by hand. Each one features razor-sharp edges, flawless 90-degree angles, and intricate grooves that seem engineered rather than carved. What defies explanation most are the drill holes, perfectly cylindrical tunnels bored deep into the stone, some no wider than a pencil. Modern engineers have tried replicating these holes using primitive tools and failed miserably. Andesite doesn't just resist abrasion, it shatters under pressure unless drilled with industrial-grade diamond bits. Yet these holes exist, their interiors smooth as glass, with no tool marks to hint at their creation. Some theorists suggest ultrasonic machining or another lost technology, while skeptics insist they must have been made with some forgotten technique using copper tubes and abrasive sand. But even that theory stumbles when confronted with the precision. Each hole maintains a consistent diameter from entrance to exit, something nearly impossible to achieve without stabilizers. Then there's the cataclysm theory. Pumapunku doesn't look abandoned, it looks detonated. Massive stone blocks, some weighing over 100 tons, lie strewn as if hit by an unimaginable force. The H-blocks themselves are often found embedded upside down in the earth, their precision edges snapped like twigs. Local Aymara legends speak of a time when the sky rained fire, flattening the city in a single night. Geological studies add eerie credibility. Soil layers reveal traces of vitrification, a glass-like melting that only occurs under extreme heat, while sediment cores show signs of a sudden, massive flood around 3,000 years ago. Was this the result of an asteroid impact, a plasma discharge from the sun, or something even more unthinkable? The most haunting detail isn't the destruction, but the implication of what was lost. The H-blocks fit together like components in a machine, their dovetailed joints and notches suggesting a modular construction system far ahead of its time. Some researchers propose they were part of an energy-generating device, while others see them as anchors for a massive, now-vanished structure. Whatever their purpose, their precision hints at a civilization that understood physics and engineering on a level we're only now beginning to grasp. The real mystery isn't just how they were made, it's why such knowledge was lost, shattered into fragments, leaving us to piece together a message we still can't fully read. Deep in the Amazon rainforest, where the canopy is so thick it blots out the sun, a circle of towering granite blocks rises from the earth like the bones of a forgotten giant. Known as the Amazonian Stonehenge, or Rei do Sol, King of the Sun, this mysterious ring of 127 megaliths, some standing over 9 feet tall, has been silently marking the winter solstice for over 1,000 years. Discovered in the 1990s near Calçoene, Brazil, the site shatters the outdated myth of the Amazon as a place of primitive tribes untouched by complex thought. These stones tell a different story, one of astronomers, engineers, and a culture sophisticated enough to bend the cosmos to their will. The precision of the alignment is what first stunned researchers. On the shortest day of the year, December 21st, the sun rises directly over one specially positioned block, casting a shadow that bisects the circle with razor-sharp accuracy. Nearby, a carved stone features a perfect circular hole, likely a solar observatory where priests or shamans track the sun's movement with pinpoint clarity. This isn't just a calendar, it's a celestial machine, a physical manifestation of a people who understood the heavens well enough to encode their rhythms in stone. But the real revelation isn't the what, it's the who. The builders belong to the little-known Amapá culture, ancestors of modern indigenous groups like the Paracas and Carapuna. Unlike European megaliths, which often required slave labor or centralized authority, the Amazonian Stonehenge suggests a more communal effort. The stones were quarried from over 2 miles away and transported without wheels or beasts of burden, implying a society organized around shared purpose rather than coercion. The site also hints at a deeper spiritual connection. Excavations revealed burial urns arranged in circular patterns mirroring the stones, their contents including polished crystals and seeds of the psychotropic ayahuasca vine. This suggests the circle wasn't just an observatory but a portal, a place where the living communed with ancestors or deities during the solstice's liminal light. Modern indigenous elders confirm this, speaking of the stones as frozen lightning, a conduit between earth and sky. What's most revolutionary about Rey du Sol is how it forces us to rewrite history. For centuries, Europeans dismissed Amazonian cultures as simple forest dwellers, but these stones prove they were mathematicians, astronomers, and architects who transformed their environment long before Columbus set sail. The rainforest wasn't a wilderness to them, it was a canvas, and as the solstice sun still strikes that ancient marker, it doesn't just illuminate stone. It illuminates the brilliance we almost overlooked. From the buried pyramids of Cholula to the singing walls of Chan Chan, these 25 bizarre structures aren't just relics, they're revolutions carved in stone. Each one shatters the myth that ancient cultures were primitive, revealing instead a tapestry of forgotten genius. How did the Olmec haul 50-ton heads through swamps without wheels? Why does a 2,000-year-old Amazonian stone circle track the solstice with pinpoint accuracy? And what cosmic blueprint inspired the precision of Puma Punku's H-blocks, cut with tools we still can't replicate? These monuments whisper a tantalizing possibility that history's timeline might be missing chapters. Were they built by civilizations far older than we've dared to imagine, their knowledge lost to cataclysm or time? Or do they prove that human ingenuity, even without modern technology, could achieve the impossible when driven by necessity and devotion? The truth might lie somewhere in between, not aliens or Atlantis, but cultures we've underestimated, their brilliance obscured by the dust of centuries. One thing's certain, these ruins refuse to be silent. They challenge us to rethink everything from the origins of engineering to the resilience of human creativity. So now it's your turn. Do you believe these were the handiwork of advanced lost societies, or is there another explanation we haven't uncovered yet? Drop your theories in the comments, and if you're hungry for more mysteries that rewrite history, hit subscribe. The past isn't done surprising us, and neither are